Good morning, good people. It is Thursday, October the 7th, 2021. This is Wake Up with Ray G. Good morning, Stone. Good morning, Lindsey Mack. Happy to see y'all, whether you're watching via Twitter, Periscope, or you're watching via the Bets Media YouTube account. We appreciate y'all tapping in with us every single morning, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's add my man Jordan to the screen. Jay, how you doing this morning, brother?
I am feeling great. Yesterday we had a great baseball game. I'm so excited to talk about it. And, I was telling you, I've been hyping the postseason for how long now? And it lived up. The Dodgers game was spectacular. No, the Yankees, Red Sox, that game was trash in comparison to this game. So I'm hyped, man. And then we get Red Sox Rays today. I don't think we'll get into that too much. We'll talk mostly the NFL slate.
Yeah.
But the postseason here, man, what a better way to end the wild card games with a walk-off home run by Chris Taylor. Spectacular, so excited. And I got a little bit of action on the JT bomb.
Yeah,
too,
man.
so
I want to say congratulations to you. Those of y'all that tapped in yesterday, towards the end of the show, Jordan talked about putting 0.3 units on Taylor to hit a home run at plus 470. Justin Turner. I'm looking at Jonathan Taylor on here. Justin Turner to hit a home run at plus 470, and that cashed out, man. So you had a good night last night. That's why you're feeling so happy. That's why you're so happy.
Good night. I was on edge because we had the Dodgers. I called the Dodgers to win too. I wasn't as confident in that one, but the bomb call of JT, that cleared all the other bets. So we're looking good. And then if you want to talk about bad beats, the people who had the St. Louis Cardinals run line at 1.5 lost it on that walk-off home run. It's not good if you had the Cardinals run line, because it was looking like maybe the Dodgers would win, but you'd be survived on the run line. But Alex Reyes, he blew all that shit out the water.
Yeah, man, that's a good call. You should have pulled at me. Me and my 1 unit bets. 1 unit, half unit, plus 470. That's a good hit, man. You're 2 for 2 on bomb calls this postseason, man. So you got to keep them coming. And the people may need to start listening to your bomb calls, man. You're getting these right every damn time.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see, right? I'm not gonna do the full unit, and I don't have one for today. I don't really have a good read on today. There's some tough matchups.
Yeah.
But I'll try and get them for you guys when I can. Mostly focusing on NFL today and tomorrow. But I'll have a bomb call for you tomorrow. And but yeah, it's been pretty good so far. No complaints for sure.
All right. Well, appreciate you, Jay. And yesterday, as the show started, we talked about the Stephon Gilmore news. And then for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, there was speculation on the Kansas City Chiefs. Of course, every rookie in the NFL draft, every free agent is going to Kansas City or Tampa Bay. So that was the speculation early on. But come to find out, Matt Rule continues his love affair of defense, and he trades. So actually, Gilmore was not released. I'm not sure why the story was he was released, and then the next thing you know, he was traded for a 6th-round pick. My initial thought is any NFL team that was not willing to give up a 6th-rounder for Stephon Gilmore, maybe my value of picks is just skewed because we play fantasy football, but that's a no-brainer. Like a 6th-round pick for an all-pro cornerback still in his prime. I wanted the Dallas Cowboys to try to go sign him. I wanted the Raiders to take a shot on Stephon Gilmore for a 6th-round pick. Maybe my perception of the value of these actual real NFL picks is skewed, but it seems that seems like cheap cost in order to acquire a game changer at the cornerback position. So now, not only do the Panthers have J.C. Horn when he comes back healthy later this season, they traded for C.J. Henderson, who was a top 10 pick last year. They still have Dante Jackson there, who was a 1st-round pick. And now you add Stephon Gilmore to the mix, along with Jeremy Chin, Shaq Thompson, Derek Brown. That defense is getting better and better by the day. And sometimes I just sit back and think, like, Sam Darnold's playing very well. I don't want to take anything away from Sam Darnold. But can you imagine if they were actually able to pull off the trade for Deshaun Watson, as was speculated during the draft, and the Carolina Panthers had Watson and Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore, and then this type of defense? I mean, that's just insane. But yeah, Stephon Gilmore is now with the Panthers, and they said he'll be ready to play. I think they said week 7 or week
Wow.
8. Gilmore will be like he's off the pup. He'll be ready to play. And J.C. Horn's injury is not season ending. We'll see what Carolina and Matt Rule decide to do with him, if they want to work him back slow or if they're going to throw him out there. But this defense is getting better and better by the day. Now, there is some hockey news, and I know nothing about hockey. Zero. The most I know about hockey is the Mighty Ducks. I thought D2 was a fantastic movie, part of my childhood allure. I actually have a Mighty Ducks jersey at my mom's crib somewhere. So outside of Disney and Emilio Esteban, whatever his name is, I know nothing about hockey. So I'm going to bring Jay in to talk about this hockey news. And please keep this short because I don't really care. I'm just telling you, I do not care.
So this is just a funny story, and it's even more funny because I thought you were actually going to take this story. You're like, oh yeah, I don't talk about hockey, I don't know anything about it. So I thought you may try and give it a go, whatever. You chose to throw it to me, but San Jose Sharks forward Evander Kane under investigation again by the NHL, this time for using a fake COVID vaccine card. So I'm not sure if maybe him and Kyrie have like this thing going where maybe he can get the COVID vaccine card to go through in the NHL, and then Kyrie tries to do it in the NBA. I don't know, but. So he's just basically under investigation for this, fraud. It's illegal in Canada. It's legal in the States. So I'm not sure why he's trying this. Like, obviously they're going to find out. And I think it's because he has to submit his vaccination status to the league to confirm that he's vaccinated. So he did that. He got caught. And this is to pile on with his domestic assault allegations and gambling on NHL games, which did get thrown out, but It's still like questionable character overall by Evander Kane. But as someone who has followed hockey and Evander Kane for a while, it's not something that I'm surprised by to hear him being accused of these types of things.
Y'all don't play around in Canada, man. I saw, because all the NBA news, right, with vaccinations and not being able to play in certain cities. I saw something that Canada will criminally prosecute fake vaccinations. Like if you're faking it and you get caught, like y'all ain't playing around up there, man. Y'all ain't playing around.
Yeah, the report was $750,000 fine and up to 6 months in prison if you fake your vaccination status or you leave your quarantine location. So, again, and it's beneficial for both the citizens and for the teams, right? Yeah. Like, is Brooklyn really going to risk bringing Kyrie to Toronto when they know he can't play and there's all these things that could happen? You never know.
What do you think happened to all the people? Like, how much were the I need to research the vacciners? How panicked were they when Facebook was down? Because that's where they get all their research information from.
I'm sure they were in shambles, bro.
They were just in shambles. Like, no research. Facebook is down. Instagram is down. I can't research anything. I pause everything until Facebook is back up so I can do a thorough deep dive into this thing turning me into a butterfly. So we suppose. We're all still here. So whatever. But yes, we do have an interesting slate of football this weekend. Jay, is there anything else newsworthy that we need to discuss before we dive into these games? Because I want to win money this weekend, bro. Like, between Prize Picks, college football treated me real bad last weekend, smashing the over in Ole Miss, Alabama. I'm telling the people.
I'll take joint blame with that.
I'm just telling the people, I don't care what the lines are. You hammer Bryce Young, you hammer Matt Corral, over passing yards, and everything was under. Well, hell, Alabama almost covered the over on their own, right? I think that still hit. I think the over, the team, the total game point scored, I think that still hit. But other than that, we were shitty last week. We have got to get it together. We will not lock in our picks until Friday. Friday will be the day that we lock in our picks. I did lock in some for tonight's game. We've got the Rams and the Seahawks. I think we do need to talk about that real quick because Chris Carson, this neck injury, and I'm no medical professional, but everything that I saw, everything that I heard, everything that I read, everything that I watched did not sound promising for Chris Carson. Now, his status is still questionable, but they're talking about herniated discs in the neck. He's a physical running back. It doesn't matter what position you play on the football field. You don't want to have neck injuries. What's your concern? And across 30-plus fantasy leagues that I play in, I think I have Chris Carson in one, and it's a redraft league. Because I was like, it'll be good this year. He signed a 2-year deal. Chris Carson is going to be money this year, for seasonal leagues. What's your concern level with Chris Carson? Are you buying into Alex Collins? I did lock in Alex Collins anytime touchdown yesterday at plus 270, so that is locked and loaded. So I meant could have had something to show that. But Alex Collins anytime TD, that is locked and loaded at plus 270. What are your thoughts about Chris Carson? Does he play? The best thing that can happen is he plays and doesn't play a lot, and then you just take the under Chris Carson rushing yards, which I have that in, but I'm fully prepared for that bet to get canceled out because I don't think he's going to play. But what are your thoughts on Chris Carson, and does this impact and affect? Because yesterday we talked about Russell Wilson. We talked about his pass completions being under. If Chris Carson's not playing and they have to roll out Alex Collins, are you going to be a little more bullish on Russell Wilson and his outlook in this game?
I actually wouldn't be, to be honest. I think that if Alex Collins is out there, he's going to be a pretty productive running back. And we saw that even last week when he did have to come in and fill in for Chris Carson. To talk more about Carson's status, he was absent from practice yesterday. The neck injury, like you said, anything can happen on a football field. And especially when talking about a neck, when players getting hit, any type of whiplash, anything at all could really mess up that neck even further to the point where it may be dramatic injury for him, right? So they definitely don't want to play around with that. They think he may play, which to me is kind of a mistake, like short week and all these things. Like, I get he may be feeling better, but it's just not something you want to risk for a player who already has some injury concerns. But like you mentioned, neck injuries, herniated discs, especially the upper the upper neural network, you do not really want to play with. That's when you have a lot of issues. We've seen a lot of athletes have problems with that. What, did I use the word neural network and impress you there?
Look at you.
I was thinking of the right word, but
Dr. Richards, upper neural network. Look at you.
That is
a lot of Grey's
so
Anatomy,
not
man.
Scientific at all, but I was trying to work with it.
I didn't know it. I mean, it sounded smart. You impressed me. You made me smile this morning.
Okay. Either way, like you mentioned, if he does play, he'll probably be limited at best, and we'll probably see a lot more Alex Collins. I think personally, if he is like game time decision active, it's more likely than not that he's not really going to play, and it's more of a bluff to the Rams. And I think we expect to see more Alex Collins. But to your point, if he is active, those bets are active, and you probably want to be hammering the unders.
I took it just in case. I'd be interested if they're even up anymore for Chris Carson. Hey, we got some breaking news again on the show. Former Dallas Cowboys Pro Bowl linebacker Jalen Smith has signed with the Green Bay Packers. Jalen Smith is a Packer. He's a Packer. Jalen Smith is a Packer. I don't mind that. Listen,
they need
him
pretty bad.
Jalen Smith took a lot of heat, man, for his play, and a lot of it well-deserved. I mean, he didn't play. For those of y'all who don't follow the story, devastating knee injury in the final game of his collegiate career versus Ohio State. A lot of people, and he was projected to be like a top 10, top 5 NFL draft pick. That injury happens. They say he'll never play again, probably can't walk again. He falls to the second round. Dallas Cowboys take a shot on him. He doesn't play as a rookie. He comes back in his second season, and he played okay. It was like, all right, Jalen Smith. And then that next season, he played really well. And I'm like, yo, we got a star. And then it's just been downhill after that. I think a lot of people, the most memorable Jalen Smith play was him chasing down Deshaun Watson. Do you remember that play? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
No,
I do, actually.
If you don't, just take a second. Go look it up while I talk about Jalen Smith. Put Jalen Smith, Deshaun Watson. Just look it up real quick because it was like so impressive. And when everybody saw it, everybody was like, oh, snap. Like they have a superstar linebacker because he hawked him down from the middle of the field to the sideline to stop a touchdown run in prime time. It was like, I mean, everybody down here, Cowboys Nation, it was just, we went berserk when that play happened. But since that play, it's been downhill. It has been downhill for Jalen Smith since then. But he's a good dude, man. He's a good dude. He did a lot for minority business owners during COVID. He's a hell of a businessman. Great dude. He sent a good message to the Cowboys saying that they have something special amongst his release. So it's good to see him pick up with the team really quickly. And I think, playing sort of that kamikaze linebacker role where he's just asked to get pressure, I think that's going to be a nice little pickup for Green Bay. You don't want him doing too much outside of that, but he's a really good dude. Did you see the play? Did you
Yes,
see the play?
I did. Yeah, 4th and goal at the end of the half. Pretty good play. Pretty good play.
It was a pretty good play because Watson looked like he was going to get it in, and Jalen Smith hocked it down. But man, let's go ahead and get into the previews for this week. And let's drop that morning run intro, baby.
Wake up! This is the morning run.
Run, Forrest, run!
All right, so NFL Week 5 outlook. Let's take a look at what we got. First and foremost, I'm so glad this game is bright and early in the morning. Like, aren't you glad this is in London or wherever it's at? France. Jorgen,
Why,
is
man?
this in
Come
Germany?
on. It'll be a good game.
It'll be
I think it's in London.
London. I'm tripping. I saw Jorgen pop up. Jorgen, what's up? Jorgen from Germany. I'm thinking the game is out there. The Jets and the Falcons. Atlanta is favored by 3.5. I'll tell you right now, don't like that. Just off the top, I'm not going to. I'm done betting spreads. Done betting spread. Done. GQ betting the spread is done. I just need to look up quarterback rushing yard totals. What did Matt Ryan? Let me look up Matt Ryan's. Does he have rushing yard totals? Because I'm taking the under on Matty Ice.
You don't like Matty Ice rushing yards? Come on,
They
man.
have nothing for him, so that bet is out of the window. But the Jets, man, plus 145 on the money line. Atlanta minus 3.5. What are your thoughts just overall in this game? Are you excited for this game? Like, be honest. Are you excited to watch this matchup this Sunday?
Yes, of course. And the reason why is because I want to see how Zach Wilson plays. We've talked about for the first 3 weeks, he had a rough stretch of defenses. Team wasn't playing well, but he got something going last week against Tennessee. And they finally won a game, and I hope this builds some confidence in him because now he's playing the Falcons, a much more beatable defense. And, he does have to go to London, which I don't know how that really affects players. There are people who dig up stats in London games, and I think they're typically a little bit more high scoring. But again, you get kind of the two extremes. Some of the time they're really high scoring. Sometimes they're really low scoring because we don't know how the jet lag, the travel, all these things affect these players. So, but for me at least, I'm looking to see what Zach Wilson does. It's a very beatable matchup. I think his wide receivers can beat some of the Atlanta corners, which we haven't really been able to say the past couple of weeks. And more importantly, I'm excited for Michael Carter because when I was researching Michael Carter, I realized that at FTN data we have him as our 5th highest elusive rating running back on the season.
Wow,
which is pretty surprising. He's not getting a whole lot of opportunities, but he's breaking a lot of tackles. He has a lot of forced missed tackles. And we'll get into the forced missed tackle leader later on in the show. I tweeted it out yesterday.
Yeah.
But more importantly, I want to see what he does because Atlanta, it hasn't been good on the ground. We saw them from week 1 to week 4 getting gashed on the ground, and they're getting gashed through the air. I want to see what Wilson can do, and I think it could be an opportunity for Carter to smash some overs. I was on his over last week, and that didn't turn out very well. Even though the game script was positive, Tennessee so happened to just play well against the run, even though they're more middle of the pack team. But I'm excited to see Wilson, man. I don't know if Elijah Moore is going to be healthy. I haven't seen anything about him yet. I kind of expect him to miss because we haven't heard anything from him. So I'm not expecting him to play, but Crowder should be good. Again, he played pretty well in his first game action. Corey Davis should be great. And then I kind of want to see what Matt Ryan can do, although I'm not really ready to bet Ridley yet because, I'm all about Calvin Ridley, but
you love some Ridley.
It's not quite there yet. The connection, for whatever reason, it's not there. Well, Cordero Patterson, maybe we have to start betting some Cordero Patterson overs because he is just smashing right now. Okay, actually, let me just stop the presses because I have this right now. Would you bet Matt Ryan to score a touchdown, to run for a touchdown at plus 750? He doesn't do it very often.
No.
But against the Jets, he just might.
I don't think so. But what I do like the story that you're painting. And I do think that because Atlanta's defense does not generate a ton of pressure, we saw Jalen Hurts absolutely dissect them week 1. We saw Tom Brady do it. We saw Daniel Jones have that defense is not very good. I do think Zach Wilson, we talked about this a week and a half ago, these next 2 weeks for Zach Wilson were going to be crucial versus Tennessee. I think he got it going. I think he sort of figured some things out, and now he gets a very soft defense. I'm not sure what Atlanta's defensive rating is right now on the season as far as generating sacks, pressure on the quarterback. Maybe we can look that up. But I do think that he's going to have plenty of time to sit back there, pick apart the defense. Michael Carter is looking better. I think they will be able to run the ball. And because of that, one of the bets that I really like, Jay, that I am definitely going to take is an under on Zach Wilson's rushing yard prop. Right now, it's at 8.5. He's hit that once this season, and it was week 2 versus New England when, New England versus rookie quarterbacks, you got to run around. But week 1, no carries, no yards versus Carolina. Week 3 versus Denver, 1 carry, 2 yards. And then versus Tennessee, 3 rushes, -2 yards. It's set at 8.5. And if they're not going to generate pressure, all he's going to do is sit back there and throw the ball and sling it around. So I really, really like Zach Wilson under 8.5 rushing yards. That is one. I wrote it down while we were talking. That is one that I'm going to lock in. I am going to lock that one in, and we'll talk about that all on Friday. We'll have all the locks, and we can go through them. But Zach Wilson under 8.5 rushing yards, I think I'm on that. And what's the juice on that? Let me see real quick. The juice on Zach under rushing yards, probably minus 115. So not a ton, but I like it, man. You can be profitable on that one. And depending on where you're looking at, man, you can go MGM over 9.5, over under 9.5, right? So, little less, that's minus 120, but still. Point is, he ain't hitting that. I don't think he's going to hit that, and I really like this because I do like the narrative that they'll be able to sit back there, throw the ball. Let's talk about Atlanta because we kind of hit on Zach Wilson. Well, Corey Davis. Do you like Corey Davis this week versus A.J. Terrell?
Yeah, absolutely. Corey Davis is a player who last season really emerged and found his role in an offense, and I think the Jets are doing a great job by utilizing him in that same breath. The Falcons are averaging 7.88 attempts per game, or yards per attempt from the quarterback position. So they're allowing a lot of passing yards. I believe that's in the top 10 in the NFL. They're right there with the Seahawks and the Ravens. The Cowboys are up there as well. So teams are able to pass on them fairly easily, and we've seen that time and time again. Whether or not they choose to run or pass, I think the Jets are going to have success this week. It just kind of depends on what they ultimately want to do. But yeah, it's been pretty crazy for the Falcons so far, and they've been allowing a ton of points. So I don't see any reason why Zach Wilson should struggle. And the offensive line has been pretty good. Like, they do allow a bit of pressure, but Zach Wilson, for the most part, has able to avoid getting hit. And like you mentioned, he's not really running when he's running away. Like, he may be running away from pressure at times, but he's not running down the field to where his receivers aren't getting the ball. He's still trying to throw the ball. He's trying to stay in the pocket, and he's avoiding hits even when he is pressure, which is good.
Yeah, the last time Corey Davis faced off against the Falcons, he had 6 targets, 5 receptions, 91 yards, and 1 touchdown. That was 2 years ago in 2019. Last week, Corey Davis, 7 targets, 4 receptions, 111 yards, and a touchdown, averaging 27 yards of reception, so getting downfield. I like he's still the primary target for Zach Wilson, and if the narrative is Zach Wilson's going to have time to sit back there and throw, Corey Davis sitting at 56.5 yards. I mean, minus 114. That's like a standard bet if you're taking the over, right? My opinion, you hammer this. I mean, we've seen these wide receivers have success versus Atlanta secondary. And again, they're not getting pressure. It's an early game. We talked about before the show, there weren't a lot of games that we like. I kind of like this one. I like Corey Davis in this matchup. You like Michael Carter. I like Zach Wilson under the rushing yards. But let's talk about Atlanta, and let's talk about Ridley. Let's talk about Kyle Pitts, Cordero Patterson. What are your thoughts there? Who's going to have the big game for Atlanta?
That's really tough, man, because I do honestly, I think it's probably going to be Cordero Patterson. I think he's been the difference maker for this offense, whether we like it or not. And his usage, the problem really is his usage is a little bit questionable. He's averaging around 35% of snaps, but when he does get the snaps, he's getting the ball, which really is all that matters. If you're getting 12 touches a game, it doesn't matter how many snaps you're playing, as long as you keep getting those 12, 15 touches a game, that's what's ultimately going to score us fantasy points. So we want to see. And I think he really has been an X factor. Like, it's scary to think about the potential Cordero Patterson had coming out of college. Everyone made the Percy Harvin comps because he was replacing Percy Harvin in Minnesota. And you saw flashes of that. He can run the ball. He can catch the ball in the backfield. He can stretch the field. We see what he's done for his career in the return game. So he's able to break tackles. So all the talent has always kind of been there. He's just never really been, I guess, good enough to where we're like, yes, we want to play Cordero Patterson. We want him on our teams. And, he went to the Bears, had a good stretch there. Obviously on the Vikings, he was pretty good. Now he's in Atlanta. But I do think he's been that X factor for them. And so,
dude, Patterson has played everywhere. Minnesota, Oakland, New England, Chicago, Atlanta. Like, as I'm looking at Cordero Patterson, the line that I'm still kind of questionable on because we're not seeing him get a ton of carries is the rushing line. 23.5. We know he can beat that in 2 carries. The receiving line is where I'm more bullish on. 34.5 receiving yards for Patterson. I mean, I think you smash the over in that case. I think Cordell Patterson over 34.5 receiving yards. The past 3 weeks, he's had no less than 6 targets. 7 targets versus Tampa, 7 versus the Giants, and 6 versus Washington. 5 catches, 6 catches, 5 catches, 58 yards, 82 yards, 82 yards. The TD rate, we know that's not sustainable. He's not going to go out there and catch 3, 4, 5 touchdowns per game. But I think he's a lock to get his 5, 6, 7 targets and only 34 yards for a quarterback who wants to push the ball downfield. His average depth of target, Cordell Patterson's a yak monster. That's why he's so good on special teams. Listen, I think there are some really, really good player props in this game that you could hammer a 3 or 4 leg parlay, right? Just on this game. And because this game is played early, you're going to know before the main slate kicks off if you hit or not. So if you want to get crazy this week and do some different things, have a 3 or 4 leg parlay, this is the game to do it on. Do it on the game that starts at 9 in the morning because you will know before. And don't mix this with other stuff. Don't mix this with the nightcap. Don't mix this with the Sunday night game. Don't mix these picks with the afternoon slate. Just do this game by itself. Like, prop yourself to death in this one. 3-leg parlay, 4-leg player prop parlay. Right now I'm looking at Patterson over receiving yards. I like Zach Wilson under his rushing yards. Corey Davis over receiving yards. Like, that's 3 legs right there that I think could be very profitable. You might get like plus 250 odds on that, so 2.5 to 1. If you 3-leg that bad boy, you could have a nice little, you could start your Sunday morning off in profit and throw in a couple of other bets on some of the morning slates and the afternoon slates. I think this is an exploitable matchup with some pretty favorable and easy lines to hit, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious your thoughts because this line is really intriguing to me, and it's Michael Carter over 7.5 receiving yards, which seems way too low for a back who could do it on one play, right?
I just don't know if he's getting the volume in the passing game. I don't know if he's getting the volume in the passing game.
2 to 3 targets a game, right? First game, he had 14 yards. Second game, he had 29 yards on 2 receptions. Third game, 2 receptions for 5 yards. And then last game, 1 reception for -4 yards. So, again, the volume isn't quite there. But if you do want, a pretty simple bet, and on top of that, it's not like we're betting on Derrick Henry to get 7.5 yards, which he probably would. But, it's low volume, but it's from a back that I do know can catch the ball. Like, it's not like we're betting on Nick Chubb to get 10 yards or something like that. A guy who doesn't really catch passes. So that's where it gives me a little bit more confidence that on one play he can do it because, he, again, at North Carolina, he probably had 800 receiving yards or 700 receiving. He was a receiving monster.
He was good. It's good.
So I'm tempted to take it against Atlanta where they're going to stretch the edges a little bit more.
Well, let's real quick before we move off of this game, let's talk about Kyle Pitts because Kyle Pitts has been a lot of people are disappointed because myself and Ryan Lopes and Scott Barrett already have enshrined him in the NFL Hall of Fame. And he was the number 4 overall pick in the NFL draft, and we expected him to come in right away and be George Kittle. We expected him to be Travis Kelce, and so far that has not happened. He has not topped. He's only hit, over 50 yards receiving like once this season, right? 3 targets in week 3. He had 9 targets last week. The thing that I want to say about Kyle Pitts, for everybody out there worried about Kyle Pitts, he's still getting the usage. He's running the routes. I don't know if Atlanta fully knows how to utilize Kyle Pitts right now, but I am not panicked and I am not worried about Kyle Pitts' long-term perspective or here in 2021. The Kyle Pitts that we've seen over the past 4 weeks is not going to be the same guy that we see week 10 through week 18. I wholeheartedly believe that. When you watch him on the field, he's bigger and faster than everybody else out there. It's just a matter of figuring out easy ways to get him involved in the offense early. And right now, his over-under receiving yard line is set at 43.5, which, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and be like I'm super confident that he's going to go over that in this game right here. But if there is a matchup in which he's got tight end linebackers and safeties that he can defeat, beat, and get deep on, this is one where I actually really like Kyle Pitts to score his first touchdown. I love Kyle Pitts to score his first touchdown in this matchup. And right now, score the first touchdown on Kyle Pitts plus 1,100 to be the first touchdown scorer of this game. Listen, I've only bet this once this year, and it was the Jacksonville-Cincinnati game, and I hit. It was James Robinson, first touchdown scorer, plus 900. I bet like a tenth of a 0.1 units on that. Hit that. I wish I would have had some guts, some courage to go a full unit. But even if it's just Kyle Pitts to score a touchdown at plus 200, I think he's going to get in the zone this week. I think week 5, Kyle Pitts gets in the end zone, and I don't hate 43.5. I don't hate it at all. Points bet, you can get that at minus 115. What are your thoughts on Kyle Pitts real quick before we move on to the next one?
I like Kyle Pitts, but I think that Arthur Smith is by far my most hated coach in the NFL.
Oh.
And I don't think it's really that close because he is just ruining some great things in Atlanta. And not to say that they should be winning all these games, but it's just questionable usage across the board. I will give him some credit. You know, if he had any part in bringing Cordero Patterson, I think he's done a great job with him. But outside of that, Ridley, Pitts, you know, even getting Russell Gage a little bit more involved, which, you know, he's not the greatest player, but we expected him to be a bit more involved. I don't really get it. You know, Matt Ryan spreading the ball, great. Mike Davis, again, has been a huge disappointment for a lot of people. So we'll see what happens. But, yeah, I don't love the number on Pitts. I think I'd rather go after the receptions because I think he is going to get the volume like you mentioned. So the only problem is that his pass completion percentage keeps going down every single week. Started at 50, went to 83, went to 66, now at 44. Not playing the best defenses, but again, more exploitable matchup. So I don't hate it.
I like Kyle Pitts to score the first touchdown. He's going to score the first touchdown in this game. Damn it, he's scoring the first touchdown. All right, next game. Who are we looking at? Where's the thing at? All right, Green Bay, Cincinnati. The Green Bay Packers. Jalen Smith's new home. The beast, Jalen Smith out of Notre Dame. Aaron Rodgers, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams. The Packers are the best at allowing pressure and the second best team allowing QB hurries at only 14%, at not allowing pressure, excuse me. So Aaron Rodgers is going to have a lot of time to sit back there and have some fun picking apart that defense. Devontae Adams, down week for him, 6 receptions, 64 yards, no touchdowns. Devontae Adams gets back in the end zone versus Cincinnati. I think Aaron Rodgers has a good game. The Bengals, they had to face some adversity last week on Thursday Night Football versus the Jaguars. They had to come back, slow start. Don't know what's going on with Joe Mixon. Have no clue if Joe Mixon is going to play or if we're going to see at one point in time the NCAA single game rushing yard leader in the history.
He is?
Well, I think Melvin Gordon ended up breaking it or Jonathan Taylor. But You don't remember the Samaje Perine game? I believe it was versus Kansas. But he set the NCAA single game rushing yard record at Oklahoma. I mean, he just went.
I remember that. Yeah, didn't Melvin Gordon break it like a few weeks later?
I think Melvin Gordon broke it like a few weeks later. Yeah. Yeah. God, I love college football. Just love college football.
Isn't it crazy that these two guys played on the same team and Joe Mixon was Samaje Perine's backup?
That is kind of crazy. It is kind of crazy. Oklahoma's had some good running backs come through, man. Oklahoma's had some. Do you remember? And let's test your football knowledge. Do you remember Quentin Griffin?
Hell no.
You don't remember Quentin Griffin? I wonder if anybody in the comment, dude, he was a beast. Quentin Griffin was like 5'6", and he went to the NFL. No, and he was good with Denver.
Was he from Oklahoma?
He's from Oklahoma. Okay. Let me see his Quentin. I can't even spell his name. Quei. How do you spell Quentin?
So who did he play for? Did he play for? Was it Stoops, the coach?
He played for Stoops. He was really good, man. Like he was good, and then he went to Denver. And he was legit. I got to look him up. I got to see Quentin Griffin.
All right, we going on a big tangent with Quentin Griffin.
I will not.
Ray, how old are you again?
I'm 35. All right, let's see. So
even Stone's never heard of this guy.
Y'all have never heard of Quentin Griffin? Wow. So his final. Listen to these stats at Oklahoma. Right, sophomore. 200 carries, 823 yards, 17 touchdowns, 51 receptions, 429 yards as a sophomore. His final season at Oklahoma in 14 games, 1,884 yards, averaging 6.6 a carry, 15 touchdowns, 35 receptions, 264 yards. Quentin Griffin was drafted in the 4th round by the Denver Broncos in 2003. Now I got to see what his Now I gotta look up his NFL.
His NFL stats.
I will not stop because he was actually
that is a spectacular stat line. Do you know who his quarterback was? Was it Sam Bradford?
No, 03? Hell no.
Must have been older than that, right?
Jason White.
03, bro.
All right, so
man.
Denver. All right, so
back
he wasn't that good at Denver. I think I'm over here boosting a little. He wasn't that good. I mean, I think we were. Yeah, he wasn't that good. He only lasted 3 years in the NFL, and he only played 2 years.
How many total yards he have?
656
total.
He only played 2 seasons.
So
I can't believe y'all don't know. I can't believe y'all aren't football. I love college. Quentin Griffin was a beast at OU. But anyways, Packers, and I have no clue how I got there. I have no clue.
I was 10 years old when that happened. Think about
10?
that. I wasn't even watching college football when that happened.
Oh, dude, that's out. Shit, I thought I was going to Oklahoma. I had it in my head. I'm like, Boise State called. I'm going to OU. And I remember my positional coach was like, "You're not going to OU." You're not, like, fuck you, man. Just wait a kid. Like, legitimately said that, and then. Anyways, neither here nor there. Joe Burrow, over under 256 passing yards, 1.5 passing touchdowns. I believe Green Bay is decimated in the secondary. I don't think Jair Alexander is playing, and there's another cornerback that's out as well. So just right now, just looking at this today, with T. Higgins back, I want the over. No, Joe Mixon, even if Joe Mixon plays, Joe Mixon's probably not going to be 100%.
Yep.
I love it, man. I love Joe Burrow to hit the over in the passing touchdown department. They're going to throw the ball. I like it a lot. I'm telling you right now, 1.5, it's minus 140 the over, but I like Joe Burrow, man.
Yeah, man, you nailed it. No Jair Alexander means no problems for Jamar Chase. And I don't know if you want to look up T. Higgins because I forgot to look up his status. I don't believe he's expected to play, but if he does play,
I think he's playing.
If he is playing, man, the Packers are in deep shit because T. Higgins is a problem. Jamar Chase is a problem. And more importantly, all they have is Eric Stokes at that point. So as much as I like Eric Stokes, he's a great cornerback out of Georgia, stupid fast. But I don't know what Jamar Chase did to him in college, but I'm sure he put a beat down on him in his sophomore season. So for me, you look at that. I love to look at those kind of matchups because the familiarity does help these guys. It helps them to play better, and they know the tendencies of some of these guys. So with that being said, T. Higgins is already going to win. Tyler Boyd put up 100 yards on, I believe, 9 receptions last week. I could see him going over. But then again, you do have to look at some of those lines because if T. Higgins does play, that's going to change things for Tyler Boyd. And while Tyler Boyd's lines usually aren't very high, I'll look him up right now, 56.5 yards. He pretty much doubled that last week. So I could see him going over that number. I like that. Receptions at 5.5, I don't love because it's a little bit more. What are you seeing?
Jamar Chase versus Georgia in his great season had three. Well, I don't know if it was against Stokes or the other guy, but he had 3 receptions for 41 yards.
That's not good.
That's 2 years ago. It means nothing, but I just wanted to look it up. He had 3 for 41. He did score a touchdown in that game, though.
Yeah, I think Jamar's going to be great. I'm not really too concerned about him. He's played so well. He's gotten the ball a lot. Again, that's in the absence of T. Higgins, so we'll see what kind of happens there. But I do like that line, and I do think Boyd at 56.5 is a good number to exploit because Burrow was looking for him a lot, and he was involved heavily early in the game and late in the game. So we'll see what happens with this game. But like you mentioned, with no Mixon, P. Ryan's not going to be the answer for this offense. They're going to lean on Joe Burrow. It was his first big game. And we've been waiting for Joe Burrow to kind of finally start throwing the ball, and he really did that last week. And it was forced a little bit, but with no Joe Mixon, they're not going to lean on the running game the way they had been. They're going to be throwing the ball, and it's going to be Joe Burrow throwing it deep. And I think he's going to hit a lot of his overs this week, whether it's for his receivers. And I do like that number at 265.5 is what the number is.
265.5, yeah. I think Jamar Chase is going to eat as well. They targeted him early and often versus Jacksonville. I think Jamar Chase is going to have a big game, over under 4.5 receptions, 64.5 yards. I think he's going to have a big game. Jamar Chase, minus 110 to score a touchdown, so the odds makers are pretty much kind of like coin flip on that one. First touchdown score, plus 750. I'm telling y'all, I love Kyle Pitts' first touchdown score in that game versus the Jets at plus 1,100. I love it, man. And you don't have to put a lot on there. honestly, throw $5 on it. Throw $10 on Kyle Pitts to score the first touchdown at 11-1 odds. I mean, that's to me, that's just worth it. We blow $10, doing anything. Literally, we just blow that away. Who else? T. Higgins. No lines for T. Higgins right now. So to your point, it's still, I guess, a coin flip of if he's going to play or not. Devontae Adams over under 88.5 receiving yards. Again, last week, under 70, man. They were trying to get him the ball. I think he had 13 targets, still 6 receptions, 60-something yards. Aaron Rodgers, 258 passing yards and 1.5 passing touchdowns. The over is minus 200. I mean,
yeah.
Again,
we've been there before and not hit it. That's the problem.
Yeah,
he should get there though.
He should get there. And when I see stuff like this, just your betting philosophy, when you see lines like this at minus 200, is it even worth taking the single bet, or would you just two-leg parlay it with something you're confident in? Like, would you take Aaron Rodgers over 1.5 passing touchdowns and then couple that with Jamar Chase over 4.5 receptions, opposed to just throwing 0.25 units on the over Aaron Rodgers passing touchdowns? That's not going to pay you out of anything, man.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. And what you could even do if you wanted to is you parlay it with him not throwing an interception. And they're both minus 200. So at that point, you're probably getting it around minus 150. And, he's not really throwing a whole lot of picks, and you expect him to go over 2.5 touchdowns. Maybe you just put the two together and you say all he has to do is not throw any picks and throw 2 touchdowns, and you're getting a lot better value.
Yeah, that's
and we know Rodgers is a guy who's not going to throw a lot of touchdowns. Or to your point, one of your favorite bets, 5.5 rushing yards. Not bad for Rodgers. He's not always going to get there, but every now and then.
He screwed me. I'm glad I didn't take it, but I did take it on a Prize Picks, and he didn't get it a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, just fucking run the ball, Rodgers. But Aaron Rodgers, that's one I don't want to play with. I don't want to play with Rodgers. He's too savvy, man. He's too savvy. Yeah, like last week, 3 for 2, no rushing yards versus San Francisco, and 6 versus Detroit. So. How many bets
Hunter,
do y'all?
up?
What up, Hunter? How many bets do y'all usually place in a week? Me, a lot.
That's a tough question. If you want to say just like football in general, I'd probably say I'm anywhere between 15 to 20 a week or so. It just depends on the week. You don't. The goal is not to place a certain number of bets every week. The goal is to hit as many lines as we like, and we'll give you guys, our lines that we like and the confidence levels we have in them, and we'll let you know, like, these are the ones we're definitely betting, these are the ones we like, and these are the ones that we're unsure about, to give you a gauge as to our confidence level in each bet. But yeah, I usually like to try and hit between 4 or 5 spreads if I can. I usually hit a couple over-unders, and then as well, I usually play a couple in-game depending on how game flow and game script are going from an NFL perspective. Because like one bet that I really wish I took last week was the under on the Houston Texans team total. And I texted you when the totals came out. I wanted the under in the Patriots Texans game because I think the Texans defense is playing well. And we're going to see a lot of good stuff from Mac Jones, but we'll see kind of how he plays overall. Bills ultimately covered the spread at 40, winning 40-0, which is just ridiculous. And we'll get into a really ridiculous spread later on in this game. Later on this day, previewing some of these games. But yeah, for me, it's usually around 10 to 15 bets or so, with usually a couple of those being live bets. Yeah,
I think like 10 to 15 is about, that sounds about right. And for me in Texas, I can't utilize MGM. I can't bet any of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of what I have to do is use these weird ass books or use Prize Picks. And with Prize Picks, you can't just do a single bet. Like the minimum that you can do on Prize Picks are 2-leg parlays. And they don't really have like pricing, right? They don't have minus 114 plus 170. I've got to do that on a different book. Do y'all mostly straight? The past few weeks I've been heavy on 3 and 4-leg parlays and getting killed. I used to, like before I really started to take the betting world serious, do a lot of just parlays, and I've stopped doing that. Like the goal is to be profitable. Like I think the psychology is, when you get ready to like confirm that bet, it looks good when you see, 1 unit to win 10 units or whatever it is. It feels good to see that. But the goal is just to be profitable more times than you're not. And if you just do the single bet, even if at minus 114, you're not getting a huge payout depending on your risk allocation. If you consistent, like, here's my thing. If you like 4 bets instead of parlaying them and all 4 have to hit, if you just bet those individually and 2 or 4 hit, 3 or 4 hit, at the end of the day, you've made money. You've profited instead of being like, shit, I had all of them right except Aaron Rodgers over 5.5 rushing yards. I could have won $100 and instead I got 0. I could have won $400 and instead I have 0. So for me, really just stepping back from trying to hit it big, and I think it's human nature. Like, we want to go big or go home, go hard or go home. I want to hit the $5 parlay that pays out $2,000. I think the more patient you are with just being profitable week to week, at the end of the season, you'll sit back and be like, damn, I made a good amount of money. Like, this was good. This was profitable instead of risking it all on parlays. So for me, I throw in 1 or 2 parlays a week, just a couple, right? And normally with the way that I do it, and Jay, you know this, I tease the hell out of everything. Like, I don't even, like, I'm doing 7.5 point teasers. Like, I'm giving it like the most conservative way to make money. But that's sort of my philosophy. So individual, maybe 1 or 2 parlays, but my whole goal is I just want to be profitable every week, or at least try to be profitable. So instead of doing 5-leg parlays, I'll bet the 5 individual bets, and hopefully I hit some of those. And then, you know what I'm saying? So that's just for me, man.
Yeah, you nailed it, right? And one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was, if you're willing to bet a parlay, you should be betting them all straight, because why bet the parlay to not bet them straight? Like, you're just leaving money on the table at that point. So for me, like, if I'm going to do a 4-leg parlay, I may do that at a quarter unit, but bet every single game at a unit. That way, if I hit even 2 sometimes or 3, I'm covered on the parlay and I'm covering on the bets that I lost. So that's where it's just like, you might as well go for that. And if you do hit it big, you hit it big, getting all the numbers and hitting the parlay. So you're really kind of like double dipping in some respects. But if you only hit 3 or 4, which happens to tons of people, you only hit 3 or 4. But if you hit 3 or 4, you're covered, because you're going to make money on 3 of those bets and cover your losses. So that's just like one philosophy. But yeah, I mostly only play single bets. I'll do a parlay every now and then just for fun, usually low unit totals. But yeah, like, the problem really is that, like you said, is risk allocation and being smart with your bets and not trying to win it big on every single weekend, because that's how you ultimately lose big. And I was telling you, and we got this advice as well, is that as much as you want to bet like a max bet 10 units, 20 units, that loss is going to hurt like 10 times more than a win ever will, because that minimized bankroll is going to hurt you way more in the long run than trying to bet slowly and building up your bankroll over time.
Got to be patient, man. You got to be patient. Like, it's crazy, because because if you do it enough, you'll hit one of those parlays eventually. You'll hit one.
Yeah.
But once you make that $2-3 you probably have spent $2-3 trying to make that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, it's not in our novice betting opinion, and we plan, the goal of this show is to get better with y'all. Like, Jay and I aren't professional bettors. This isn't our full, like, we're learning. We're taking things that we did in the past that weren't successful, that weren't profitable. We were losing money, right? Like, why the hell am I losing money? Well, Ray, you keep putting in 10-leg parlays and you're getting 6 of 10 right. Like, if I would have just took those same 10 bets and bet those individually, right, and just bet the games, you know, it wouldn't have been the payout, because, of course, you don't have it all smashed together, but I would have been profitable and I wouldn't have lost money. So we're working with that with y'all. And Hunter, we'll holler at you offline about the book that we use. I don't want to just be dropping that on here, because they ain't paying me to talk about it. So if they were paying me, I would tell you. So just holler at us offline and we'll let you know what's up. All right. Next game, Detroit, Minnesota. Is probably the last one we get into today. We've been talking about a lot of other stuff, but the Lions plus 319 on the money line to get it done. Minnesota's favored by 9 in this one. Good night. Minnesota by 9? I don't know.
Yeah, don't love that.
Don't love it. Dalvin Cook is still kind of questionable right now. Kirk Cousins coming off of his worst game of the season. The Lions coming off of I think they got kind of beat down by Chicago. I know the final score didn't say it, but just didn't convert a lot. We're still having to deal with this. We're still having to deal with this Jamal Williams, DeAndre Swift conundrum, and we don't know which player is going to get the volume, and it's like equal every single week. The Lions have done a really good job keeping Jared Goff clean. He's only hurried on less than 20% of his passes, so he's got time back there. But big loss for the Lions. Did you hear about the offensive lineman, the all-pro center,
No.
Pro Bowl center. Frank Ragnow, out. Frank Ragnow is out, man. That's a big loss.
That's a big loss.
That's a big loss for the Lions, and I'm not sure how good Minnesota's defense is. I mean, they just played a tough game versus Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt and kept them to 14 points. But Frank Ragnow being out is not good. Is not good for Jamal Williams, not good for Jared Goff, not good for DeAndre Swift. I still don't like Minnesota to win by 9 points, to win by 10, essentially. I'm not high on that. But the Lions have a couple of problems, man. And, their receiving cores. We saw Amon-Ra St. Brown and Quintez Cephas get more involved. It was good to see Amon-Ra play well. I don't know. This is one where if Dalvin Cook plays, can you trust him? He had like 9 for 34 last week, something like that.
He's aiming to play, by the way.
Yeah, I don't like Dalvin Cook. I don't like Dalvin Cook at all this week. I do like Kirk Cousins because Detroit's secondary, they lost. Detroit's getting hammered, man. Stone, there's somebody, I think there's another secondary player for Detroit that was just lost for the season as well. I don't know. I don't know about this one. I have no courage in this one. I'd like to look up Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, and that might be about it for me.
Yeah, they don't have any lines out for them right now. I'm sure because Detroit is so heavily underdogs. But to your point, I would be smashing Justin Jefferson overs. He's been the one player who's been extremely consistent for the Vikings this season. I loved what I've seen from Kirk Cousins so far. Again, he did struggle against the Browns, but I'm not going to hold that too much against him because the Browns are just one of the best defenses in the league right now, and they're getting better each and every week. So I'm not going to put too much on him. But the one big problem for the Vikings is they are allowing a lot of pressure. And they played some good teams this year, but they've also played some bad teams. And while he's done well with the pressure, he is getting hit a lot. He's being pressured a lot. And it's just causing a bit of problems for him timing-wise. But Thielen's there. Osborne's there, who I love, and I'm growing on each and every day. And then, of course, Justin Jefferson's going to be there. The one crazy stat about Dalvin Cook that I found is he's second in the NFL in 10-plus yard runs despite, their suspect offensive line. And that's on only 51 carries. He has 11 10-yard runs on 51 carries. So he's over 20% on 10-plus runs, which is just insane. Again, he's been banged up. He hasn't played that well, but he's gashing when he's getting those opportunities, which is great.
So Prize Picks has Justin Jefferson at 82.5.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that. It's easy money.
Yeah, I'm
easy
taking
money.
that. I'm taking that against no Jeff Okudah, no number 24. I forgot what his last name is, but he ain't playing. They don't have anything for Thielen. I don't see anything for Dalvin Cook, but Justin Jefferson is up on Prize Picks at 82.5. The Detroit side, what do you think about DeAndre Swift? And again, I know you didn't know Frank Ragnow was out. Let me just double check that. I'm almost positive he's not playing. I'm almost positive. Frank, they're going to Evan Brown.
Yeah.
IR with the toe injury. Yeah, IR. Yep.
I think I'd be taking the under on Swift's rushing, but are we going to get back in the flames with his receiving? We saw it at 35.5. There's no number up for it right now.
Nothing.
But I mean, that's the problem. When you don't know the status of some of these guys, the books are afraid to put up numbers. I think I would be tempted to still take a receiving yard number for Swift, depending on kind of how things look. But for me, at least, I just don't trust it. The receivers, I'm not going anywhere near. There's no way in hell. I'd consider maybe going after Hawkinson, but his number will probably be around 65, 70 yards.
I just saw Hawkinson.
I don't love it.
I saw Hawkinson. No, it's not going to be that high. Prize Picks has him at 50.5.
Wow. I don't hate that. I think it's a beatable number for him in a team that's just, they're god awful. And they throw the ball a ton. Like, they throw the ball so much for a team that you don't really expect to be super pass heavy. But yes, they are down a lot. So they are passing the ball. 50.5 I get on board with for Hawkinson. I probably wouldn't bet it. I don't love it.
He's been kind of, this is,
hit or
the
miss.
point is, y'all could hear us talking through this. We've had no conviction outside of Justin Jefferson and maybe outside of DeAndre Swift's reception total, especially with no center. Jared Goff probably going to work from the gun a little bit more to get the ball out quicker, right? And if that's the story, we always talk about make your bets tell a story. If that's the story that we're going to roll with, then I will like DeAndre. And it's probably going to be set at, if I had to guess, 4.5 receptions for DeAndre Swift, 4.5 or 5 receptions for Swift. I like that, but outside of that, it's Justin Jefferson. And I kind of like Justin Jefferson first-time touchdown. Okay, so Stone said number 24, and he did not practice, but it doesn't matter. The secondary is juice, which means is dumpster juice. I always talk about that. Hey, Stone, I sent you a trade in Bomb Squad. Go press accept. So basically, Justin Jefferson is what we want. We've got a lot of games to get through tomorrow. We've got the Thursday night game that we previewed yesterday. So if you missed that, make sure you go back and check that out. Tomorrow, we're going to get into Denver Pitt. And we're probably just, Jay, I think what I want to do tomorrow is go through the props that we actually like from these games.
Yeah.
So we don't have to hit every single game, but let's go through the ones we like. We've got, I think Philadelphia, Carolina, I'm going to like something in that. Tampa Bay, we've got to check out what Tampa Bay's doing. Let's see. Then we've got New England, Houston. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I'm going to want some of that action. Justin Fields in his start. The Chargers and the Browns, nice game. Giants, Dallas. Man, there's a lot. San Francisco, Trey Lance, Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. Oh, baby. This is going to be good. And then I'm just going to tell you right now, the Stone Cold lock of the week, Derrick Henry over whatever his rushing yard total is. He gets the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yes. Derrick Henry over. Jay, anything else you want to say to the people before we get out of here? This was a good show, man. It's a good show.
I just wanted to thank everybody for coming. And we'll see if Derrick Henry even has a line. I just tried to look it up. There's nothing there right now. I'm sure books are too afraid to put a line out. But,
I got him on
definitely like the over.
I got him on Prize Pick. Let me tell you. So I put it in Monday. It was 119 and a half. I went back to check. Let me just see where it's at right now. So it's 119 and a half, and I hurried up and let me see if Derrick Henry, if they've got anything, if it's changed. Oh, they don't even have it up anymore.
Yeah, man, they're going to take it down. So just so people do know, because we'll probably get to it, but if we don't, A.J. Brown is practicing, but Julio Jones did not practice, so we'll see what happens with those guys. But yeah, to your point, Derrick Henry
still up. It's still up. 119 and a half for Derrick Henry.
That's not bad. That's not bad. I'd take it. It was 106 and a half, I think, against the Jets, and he went off for like 150. So I think he'll be just fine.
Derrick Henry's a monster, man. But I appreciate y'all. We appreciate y'all tapping in. We'll be back tomorrow. Y'all make today great. And thank y'all for tapping in. Subscribe, like the content. See you tomorrow. Peace.